Hey guys, my name is Jonathan Reich. I'm a licensed CPA in the state of Louisiana. Today, I want to go ahead and talk about the best online bill payment tools for bookkeepers, accounting firms, and folks that are really just in the numbers space. I think I'm a really good candidate to talk about that because I literally spend all day, every day, in these types of platforms, in accounting platforms, and Excel spreadsheets. So with that, let's go ahead and jump right in. So the first one I want to talk about today is Melio. Melio is a bill payment platform that connects with Xero and QuickBooks. Pretty impressed with it, honestly. So first things first, most of these platforms are going to allow you to send ACHs, wires, domestic wires. Some of them will let you do international wires. Some will let you do checks. But one thing that's really neat about Melio, this is the only one that I'm aware that does this. You can use a credit card to pay some of your bills that maybe you couldn't usually use a credit card to pay. So for instance, let's say your landlord, your rent is due, it's $4,000. And he's like, hey, bank transfer only, because I don't want to pay a 2.9% fee on a credit card. Well, you can use your card if you're short on cash for that time being, put the rent on the credit card. You pay the 2.99% APR fee, or 2.99% fee associated with using the card. Melio will basically send that payment to the landlord, and the landlord will never know that you used a credit card to pay for it. Now, obviously, as a CPA, I really don't advise you to load up your credit card and put tons of debt on there. I would maybe say it's okay to use if you're in a little small cash crunch. Maybe you've got some pretty significant receivables coming due next week. They'll be paid on time, and you just kind of need to float a little bit. You need that money for payroll. But don't load up on a credit card and then dig a hole that you can't dig out of. But Melio is one of the only platforms that allows you to do that. So it's definitely a differentiator. Obviously, I like to talk price. I am a penny pincher. I count dollars all day. So what is all this going to cost, right? Well, Melio has a free plan. I really like that. I like that you get to take it for a test drive. But most importantly, on their beginner plan, that's where you get that two-way sync. So don't ever run a bill payment platform in a vacuum. You're always going to need the ability to sync your accounting platform, so you're not wondering, hey, what's going on here? I need to upload a CSV. My books aren't balancing. They're not reconciling. I've got payments, but no bills associated with them. You need the two-way sync. Anything else, and you're just going to be chasing your tail. You're going to be wasting your time. We don't want to do that. Melio also has a really, really easy-to-use home screen, and you can see that here. I did just cut the camera and jumped over to their login page. So super simple, super intuitive, easy to use. If you need to pay a bill, you can drag, drop a PDF, have it emailed into the system. It's going to pick up who's it to, the date, what was paid. It's going to push all that data over. Then you basically just click on the bill and say, how do you want to pay? Check, ACH, credit card, wire, when do you want to pay, etc. And then that's it. You mark it as done. It'll go to your accounting system. It's pretty much that easy. Melio also allows for accounts receivable, but really I want to focus on the payment tools today. But I do think that is a pretty unique offering. You can send out invoices, get paid, connect a bank account, and it'll go to that bank account. Overall, I think Melio is a pretty robust platform. It's so good that Xero recently started a partnership with them and actually integrated it direct into their bill pay platform. But overall, they have no shortage of offerings. I think they're a really good contender. The next one I want to talk about is Bill.com. If you're in the finance or accounting space, you've definitely heard of Bill.com. So Bill.com is akin to QuickBooks Online. It really is a platform that it's just a 600-pound gorilla in the room. It's meant to be a power user, but I would also venture to say that's one of their downfalls. Bill.com can be rather robust, and that can be too much for someone who just has a small pile of invoices that they need to pay. But if you've got 5,000 invoices piling up on your desk, it makes a lot of sense to integrate Bill.com into your workflow. Bill.com does offer AR. It also offers expense management, but really I want to talk about the bill pay functions today. And it can do that very well, but it is a little bit more pricey than I would like to see. The one that I'm obviously going to recommend is, once again, the one that offers that two-way sync with your accounting platform. You should never operate the bill pay platform void in a vacuum because your books won't balance. You're not going to be able to track what you sent out, what you spent. It's just going to be a nightmare reconciling. Make it to where they sync every time. And I don't like that Bill charges $65 a month per user for you to get that functionality. Some of the pros of using Bill.com though are it does have some of the deepest controls, it's the most rounded platform. It can be used by Fortune 500 companies, maybe not Fortune 500 companies. It can be used by very, very large enterprises though. It can also be used by a 3-person office. So it's very well rounded. It does have things like tons of approvals. It can sync with NetSuite, Sage Intacct, QBO, Xero, most accounting platforms. But overall, there's nothing wrong with using it. To me, there's just a little bit of drag due to how robust it is. So that's something that I would always keep in mind. You know, you don't want to have to sink a ton of time training staff, training them to get familiar with the platform, how to get past approvals, how to upload stuff. I mean, you saw how simple the Melio platform was. That's what I like to see. I like to be able to pick up a platform and say, hey, this is how we use it. It's that easy, and it'd be a done deal. Ramp also offers bill pay, but where I really see the value in Ramp is their expense management side. Ramp is basically a corporate card that's going to allow you to track all your spend, keep it in one place, make your employees upload receipts. It'll text the employees when they swipe the card. It's just a pretty good platform in that regard. As for the bill pay platform side of things, it works, but there are some drawbacks that I've seen. So one thing is, like, I have clients that use this platform and they have purchase orders. The purchase orders are great. They're kept in the accounting system. Ramp will sync to the accounting system, but it doesn't do a great job of playing with those purchase orders. So you just need to analyze your workflow to make sure that Ramp is capable of picking it up. But Ramp can do everything that all these other platforms talk about. They can pay via ACH, pay via wire, not credit card though, that one's special. They can sync the bills to and from your accounting platform. Typically it's QuickBooks. And then they do all of this at a relatively fair price. It's about $15 a month per user. If you do it in annual billing, that price does drop. But this gets you access to that corporate card. But remember, if you've got 20 guys using that card, $15 a month, that's $300 a month for the platform. Some of the other solutions though, let's see if they have the bill pay platform here. They have important thing is expense management. That's where they really excel. Accounts payable, so you can process AP, drag and drop, and then put in the bills. It'll use OCR and AI to read the bill. It does okay. Just like I said, analyze your workflow, make sure there's no bottlenecks, make sure that you're okay with how the platform runs, because if you're not processing a ton of volume, you might just be okay using the bill pay function within QuickBooks or Xero or Sage, and you may not need a separate system. The next one I want to talk about is actually QuickBooks. Just because I had already mentioned it, I'll switch them around. It may not be a pleasure to use like some of these other platforms, but it's fairly priced. It keeps everything under one umbrella. I do fuss quite a bit though, and you'll see it in some of my other content. Intuit is constantly and always raising prices, so I don't necessarily love the $45 a month. It's like a convenience thing, you know, you'll pay for convenience. And so keeping everything in-house, being able to have all your reports in one place, QuickBooks does have a little bit of weight to that. I would say the features are a bit lacking compared to some of these other dedicated platforms. Sometimes it does get like the reading of the bill incorrect, but for the most part, it can get the job done. But if you have a ton of volume coming through, you're definitely going to want a platform that just syncs to QuickBooks that is made for paying bills. If you just have a handful, you can probably skirt it and get away with it and pay a little bit less and keep everything in one spot. Your bookkeeper can get familiar with it. It's $15 a month. You kind of just have to weigh those pros and cons on what you want. The last one I want to talk about today is Relay. So Relay is basically a bank account that offers bill pay. So you can keep everything in one place. It's basically business banking that's built around multiple checking accounts. So you can also have things associated with those checking accounts like AP, expense, invoicing, and then it'll create these bank feeds that go to and from QuickBooks or Xero, and then it also offers things like Bill does that are permission and roles related. And so you do have some type of way to keep a pulse on your business. Like if you're the small business owner, maybe you've got an AP clerk, and then you've got your finance director, and then it's you. You can set up roles to be able to basically manage those bills and make sure that they're being paid timely. Bills from certain vendors are being approved. Bills over certain amounts are being approved. So the cost, relatively fair. It's free to start up. I always like to see free. You should always get a test drive before you get sucked into a year-long contract, in my opinion. And then it's $30 a month or $120 a month. So a bit steeper, but you do get some of the things that I haven't talked about with some of the other platforms, like an APY, 3% APY. That's pretty high. 1.5% cash back, checking accounts, and then ACHs. So some of the pros are you get rid of that bank plus AP tool. It's all in one spot. All your money's in one spot. All your bills are coming from the same spot. So if you have 10 operating accounts, Relay is like made for you. If you have a ton of different accounts with a ton of different institutions, with a ton of different debit cards, this is that platform. But it's really for folks who have complex entities. If you're a small business, you're not going to want to introduce this complexity. If you're looking for a bill pay platform and you don't fit that bill, that was a pun, then this is not the platform for you to use. So in my opinion, Relay is more of a fintech product, not really a bank. They do offer banking solutions, but it's going to be through third party. You can actually see right here in this tiny text, they say they're not an FDIC insured bank. So the banking services are provided by that third party Thread Bank. I actually didn't see that when I was originally mentioning it, but they're a fintech product. They're not a bank. You need to make sure that you're comfortable with that the bill pay platform, because you have those various checking accounts, is something that makes sense for your certain use case. So, but they also do things like expense management, AP, stuff like that. So overall, guys, there's no shortage of good bill payment platforms out there. You just want to make sure that they fit your use case. If you're a small business, I like Melio. If you're a enterprise, mid-sized business, Bill.com would probably work. If you're just doing a handful of bills a month, the QBO bill pay feature will work. If you have just some really complex accounts, maybe you've changed banks 10 times. I know that sounds crazy, but I have some clients that have done it. Maybe you can think about using Relay. There's no shortage of options out there. Pick what works for your use case, and I want to thank you guys. Like, comment, subscribe, and I will see y'all on the next video.